guys, Preacher 357 here. Thought I'd make a little bit of a video here today talking about carry guns. That's a question that I get asked sometimes. Friends of mine who realize I'm a gun nut, I guess, for lack of a better term. They realize I have my carry permit, even though in Tennessee now you can actually carry without one. But they know that I've carried a gun, that I've carried one for years. They'll often ask me, what gun do you carry? Or they'll ask questions like, how do you feel safe carrying a gun? You're not afraid it's going to go off, and things along those lines. So I thought I would do a video, or a few videos maybe, and just talk a little bit about that, about my carry guns and the mindset behind carrying a gun, and the confidence I have in carrying one, the confidence I don't have in carrying one even. So I thought I would talk a little bit about that today. When I first decided several years ago I wanted to get a handgun carry permit, at that time you had to have one in order to carry in the state of Tennessee where I live. I was thinking about it and thinking about the Second Amendment, and it had been under attack a little bit at the time, and after the shooting that happened up in New England at the school there. And I was thinking about it, and I realized something. I realized that the Second Amendment was there to guarantee and protect our rights that already existed. But the fact that there were rights that we had, the right to protect ourselves and have a firearm or any other type of weapon for that matter for personal protection, that also entailed that there was a responsibility that was there. If there was a natural inherent right that we had for protection, to be able to have what we need for protection, then that also meant that we had a responsibility to protect. And once I realized that, I felt like it was my responsibility to be someone that was prepared. And so I decided to get a permit, which meant I needed a gun to carry every day. And being sort of an old-fashioned guy, not really being all that well versed in more modern firearms like the polymer wonders that we see so often today. They're so popular, like the Glocks and similar types of guns. I was kind of wary of them. They scared me a little bit. So at the time, I thought I would just feel more comfortable carrying a revolver. It was much simpler in some ways, and I was more familiar with it. And so I started doing some research online and watched some videos, Hickok 45 and different people. And I finally decided I thought I wanted to carry a small little 38 snub nose, specifically the model 642, which I have right here in my pocket. The 642 was the one I decided on. I called up a friend of mine who was an FFL in my hometown, which I no longer lived there, but he was someone I knew. I didn't know anything about gun stores really in the area I was living in at the time. So I called up a friend of mine that I know my whole life and said, I'm looking at buying this gun. Do you have one? He said, yeah, I've got one. Just drive on over here. And I went over there and went through the background check and pulled out my credit card to pay for it. He said, I don't even take those things. So I said, well, I'm going to have to come back later and pay you then and buy it, because I just don't have the money right now. All I've got on me is a credit card. And he said, well, just bring me the money later. Just take it on with you. The background checks went through. So that shows you how life is in a rural town. But I called my wife up, and she ran by after work and made sure he was paid. You don't ever want to leave something hanging like that. If something happened to you, and then he not get his money, So anyway, I brought this home, and first off, I went over to my mom's house, which was there in the same town, and decided I'd try it out because that's where I'd always shot my whole life. We had a family farm there that my granddad had actually sold most of it off, but we still had a little bit of land out there, and we had a barn out there, and that's where I'd always shot, was beside or behind the barn. So I took it out there, put up a target, and couldn't hit the broad side of a barn. I couldn't hit nothing with this gun. And it took some real practice to get pretty good with it. And you'll see a lot of people that'll say this is a great first gun. And if you want to carry a little J-frame revolver like this, a little 38 Special snub nose is a great gun to carry. And they're absolutely right. It is. It's a wonderful gun to carry, but you got to put the time in with it. You've got to learn how to shoot it, because it's hard to shoot. It's got a very, very short sight radius. and it's got a long double action trigger pull that's fairly heavy. And so it's not like shooting a rifle. It's not like shooting a polymer gun. It's something different, and it takes more trigger control. It takes a little more concentration, especially until you get used to it. And so if you're going to carry a J-frame, then which I will recommend, I think they're great, but you got to put the time in. You got to get to the range. You got to train with it. You got to practice with it. But this is still to this day my number one carry gun. This is the one I carry more often than not. Probably 80% of the time, I've got this little J-frame in my pocket. It goes with me everywhere. In fact, it goes with me so much, I've even named it. I've named him Smitty, because that's an extremely original name for a Smith & Wesson. No one else would have ever thought to name this gun Smitty, and I'm a very original kind of guy. And so I decided to name him Smitty. It's kind of the same reason I named this channel Preacher 357, because no one had ever thought about putting the caliber of a gun, after a name for a YouTube channel. If Hickok 45 had decided to do that a long time ago, who knows how big he would have been, right? Suits Double Aught should have thought of that, but they just weren't smart enough, like me, to do that. So I'm a real original guy. So I named him Smitty, and I still call him that sometimes. Not usually to anybody that knows me, because they think I'm crazy, but people on YouTube are different. Y'all are special, and so I can tell you about it, and you won't think anything about it. But I named him Smitty. But I love revolvers. To this day, I still love revolvers. They're my favorite. Among my carry guns, this isn't the only one that I carry that's a revolver, because I really love revolvers. There's just something special about them. There's something neat about them. In some ways, you can say they're not as practical as the newer guns. They don't have the capacity that the newer guns have, but there's still something special about them. And I feel very confident with this gun, because I've trained so much with it and shot so often at the range with it. Every time I'd come out to shoot, I would pretty much put rounds down this as well, no matter what else I brought out. And so there's no telling how many thousands of rounds have went down this barrel. And you can see it shows the wear here. I mean, it's beat up pretty good from years and years of carry and lots of rounds going down the barrel. But I feel like I can hit with it. When I pull it out of my pocket, I have a confidence with it, because I have shot with it so often, and because I shoot revolvers so often. I may be the least tactical guy who's ever put a video on YouTube. And there was a time I wanted to be more tactical. I wished that I could be like those guys who put on the body armor and all that and run around with their ARs, and I thought that was really cool, but it's not me. I bought an AR and found that I just didn't really enjoy it that much. It just wasn't as much fun to me as a gun that had metal and wood and just an old-fashioned type of gun, like a lever gun even. I love lever guns. And so that's just goes with my personality, I guess. That's just who I am. And I guess I'm just never going to be a tactical kind of guy. I often wonder why that is, and I think I finally decided it's because of James Yeager. It's James Yeager's fault. You see, I apparently live too close to Tactical Response in Camden, Tennessee. And James Yeager is so tactical that he has absorbed all the tacticality out of this region. And that's why you see I have no tacticality whatsoever. I'm not tactical. But even look at other guys who put videos on YouTube from Tennessee, Hickok 45. Not very tactical. Now, he likes ARs and stuff more than I do, but he lives a little bit further away. So there, a little bit of tacticality seeps into where he is. You look at Jeff and Bogey Quinn. Those guys ain't tactical either. So it's James Yeager's fault. I've decided that's what it is. He's the reason I can't be tactical. Now, obviously, I'm just joking. Just joking. I did run into James Yeager one time. Well, I say I run into him. I saw him one time. This is a great story. So you might want to pay real close attention, and maybe, rewind the video if you need to make sure you get all the facts right when you tell all your friends. But I saw him across the way at a gas station in Jackson, Tennessee one time, and I looked over and I said, that looks like James Yeager. I looked at the truck and I said, yeah, I think that's what he drives. I believe that's James Yeager. Wow. He's not as tall as I thought he was. And then I put the gas handle back up, got in my car and left. A great story, huh? But no, I don't know James Yeager. I don't know Hickok 45, though I've met him several times over the years. I've talked to him several times, but I wouldn't say that I really know him. I wouldn't say we're good buddies or anything, or that he even remembers my name or anything, but I have met him several times over the years. But he was a really nice guy. But Anyway, this is my number one, and I carry this about 80% of the time, as I said. I really, really like this gun. It has a special place in my heart, but it's not the only one I carry because it doesn't always suit my needs. And so when you carry a firearm, there's going to be times that you have to use different options. And I have different holsters that I'll even use with this at times. I've got a Kydex inside the waistband holster by Concealment Express that I will use sometimes. I have a little Fox holster that I will use on occasions. If I want to tuck it in, if I want a tuckable holster. I used to use a DeSantis Nemesis pocket holster, but if I wore sweatpants or something like that and I would throw it in my pocket, if I sat down and like moved or something, it would fall out of the DeSantis Nemesis pocket holster and then right out of my pocket. So I wanted something that would had a little bit more retention, and I saw the Alabama pocket holsters on Hickok 45. Obviously, I'm a big fan. I'm not going to make any bones about that. Clearly, I am. But I saw that there and I bought one and never looked back. I love these. I've got one for another gun I use as well for a carry gun. And this stays in my pocket probably 80% of the time when I'm carrying. So I really, really enjoy this revolver. It's a great carry gun. I feel very confident with this gun. And I'll just shoot a few rounds here for you and then let you go. And we'll make another video sometime about some of my other guns that I carry. I do have a few. They say you shouldn't carry too many because you want to be well versed in whatever you're carrying. You want to have the same system, and I think that for the most part is true. And I don't just switch constantly between them. I tend to carry something for a while. The things I revolve back and forth between are pretty stable for the most part, though I have some I'll throw in there every so often. But the 642 is the one that I shoot, that I carry the most, and the one I train with the most of my carry guns as well. So let's just put a few down range here and see if I can actually hit anything with this thing. And we'll just see how I do here. Anyway, appreciate you coming out. God bless, and y'all take care, and we'll talk to you again later.